Hi guys, welcome to Flying Fin RC. My name's Trevor and today we're going to do a tutorial on how to cover your plane using iron-on covering film. So there's a few different brands out there. I'll be using Auracover for the example I'm going to show you today, but you can use whatever brand you want. Also going through some of the tools and techniques. If you've never done it before, it's really simple. It's just a few sort of couple of guides you need to take into account just so the covering stays on and you get a good finish. So I will cover this. This is an aileron for the jet that's behind us, and I thought as I'm covering, why not do a video? It could be a good opportunity. So the first thing you want to do before you cover your, in this case, aileron, you want to make sure it's all nicely sanded, nice and smooth. The smoother the finish, the better the glue will adhere to. So that's the first thing you need to do. I've just got a little bit of off-cut material here. It normally comes on a long roll. You have to sometimes be quite careful when you're cutting out the material, not to be wasteful with it, because I guarantee like you run out just as you get near to the end of the project. And funny enough, that's what's happened with this jet behind. I need to just order like an extra metre just to do the last bits, but I've got some offcuts just to do the ailerons. So the tools I'll be using is a very sharp knife. That is probably the most important thing. The knife's got to be really sharp, otherwise you snag and don't get very clean cuts. So sharp knife. Got a pair of sharp scissors. Got some masking tape. I'm going to show you a trick with this in a bit. Something else I've got is I've got a product here which is a heat active glue. I'm not actually going to be using this for the demonstration video, but at the end I will tell you a little bit about what this is for. Okay, so let's do it. So whenever you cover something, if it's a wing for example, you want to sort of cover the bottom half first, and there's a reason for that. It's all to do with how the air goes over the surface. So what you want to do when you lay the material on, rather than have it sort of just stop with at the edge here where the wind can get underneath and lift it off, you want to have it so it almost doubles back on itself, so as the wind goes over it can't cause the material to lift. So I always start off with the bottom first. So I know this is the bottom, so what I'm going to do is lay it out over my scrap bit of material, and I'm going to cut out roughly the shape. You want to sort of have at least ½ an inch overlap. There's a reason for that, because the film shrinks. You want to allow for that, and it gives you a little bit more room to manoeuvre it and to reposition it if it does go a bit wrong. So yeah, just with some scissors, roughly cutting it out. Sorry, my hand's probably blocking the view. I mean, you don't have to use scissors. You can just cut it out on like a mat, but as you probably see, I'm doing it on the work surface in the kitchen, so I'll probably be in the doghouse if I start cutting on that. Okay, as you can see, I've got plenty of room around the edges. So the next thing I need to do now, oh, I forgot to mention, this is probably the most important bit, the iron. Without an iron, you're not going to get your covering stuck on. So yeah, normally with these films, they have got a protective coating where the glue is, and it's a nightmare to try and separate the two. So this is a handy tip. What I like to do, tear off a bit of masking tape, then turn it into 2 bits, stick one bit on one side and then another bit on the other side, and in theory when I put it apart, I don't know if you can see, it separates. So where I'm taking this off now, this is actually where the side the glue's on. It's very easy to, because both the sides look the same. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to lay that on, get that roughly in the right position. That's good, so okay, let's flip it over. Just so you know, this video is, I'm doing it all sort of in live time, I'm not editing or going to speed up any bits, but what I do, I'll just cover one half just to show you. So once you've got the material in place, you want to get your iron set to quite a high temperature. If you're not sure what's a good temperature, what you can always do is start with the temperature low, and you can always increase it, but if you go in with the temperature too hot to start off with, you can actually melt the film. So where I've done a lot of covering, I remember where the position of this is. So this isn't on max, it's about 2/3 of the temperature setting. There isn't actually any degrees or temperature readings I can give you. You can actually get proper covering irons, and you can actually go on the manufacturer's website and they tell you the correct temperatures to put the iron to attach to the film. So I've got it on, I'd say, just over a medium heat. Then what I'm going to do, I'm very lightly just going to touch it around the edges with what I'm going to cover, just to make sure the film stays in the same place. So I'm literally just touching the iron on. I'm not too worried about getting it perfectly sealed. This is literally just enough to tack it in place. It's handy to be able to pick it up as well because you can get the angle. So what I'll do, I'll show you now. So I've just run the iron roughly around there, but you can see the film's now stuck to it. So now I'm happy that the positions are all okay. What I can do is run around all the edges, along, if you've got ribs, any areas that kind of make contact with the film, you want to run the iron across so it basically glues itself to the structure. So I shall do that now. So that's the trailing edge tacked down. Now I'm going to do the leading edge. You can actually do it on a flat surface for this. So what you're using is literally just like the point of the iron, just to go along the ribs. Now I'm just going to seal around the edges. So that's all sealed. The next stage now is to do some cuts to get the neat edges, and this is there's probably quite a few different techniques that people do. What you want on your edges so that you don't see any sort of bare wood. So what I'll do the trailing edge first, just so you can see how the cuts go. So just in a line, I'm just doing a thin slice like that. And then I'm going to do the same on here. At this stage, it doesn't matter if this material's got wrinkles in it, because that's fine, because you shrink it at the very end of the process. So I don't know if you can see that, how I've cut it here, but I've left the edges here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to run the iron along here, just one more time, but I'm just going to get a very slight angle on it, just so it very fractionally kind of tacks just over the edge. And there's a reason for that. When you shrink the film wants to pull in on itself, and if you haven't got good adhesion on the edges, it will actually pull itself off your wood. So now I've got that with a sharp knife, just very carefully run it along. You get a nice neat edge there. You can see I've covered the trailing edge. Right, the leading edge, this is going to be a little bit more complicated. So what I'm going to do is the same cuts again, so that it folds round so I can get a neat corner. if you can see that. It's almost when I fold it down, you can see the edges are staying up. So this bit now is probably the most important bit with the ironing. I'm going to have to film so it doubles back on itself. And then we've got a couple of options on how we trim it. So again, I'm just using the iron to tack it down initially. When I'm happy it's in the right position, I will then go along with the iron and make sure that I've got it all heated up and stuck down nicely. So I don't know if you can see that. Alright, the next stage, I need to trim this off. So I can either do it by hand, or you could lay a ruler across and use the ruler as a straight edge. I'm just going to cut it by hand. So you've got, we'll start at this edge. It helps if you have a little bit if it's too thin, you can't quite get to the edge to trim it. So I will show you in a minute what this looks like. So that's the bit I've cut off there. So that's what it's like. As you can see, I've just gone over. Alright, now for the ends. These should fall down really neatly. So I should do the same again. Again with the iron. Just running it across, giving it a good application of heat. So that's one side into the correct position. Again, I'm going to, just with a knife, I'm just going to trim along the edge of the wood. Okay, something I'm going to do on the end here, if I was just to trim that like I did these bits here, wind could get underneath and peel it back. So what I'm going to do, well, I can use scissors for this. I'm actually going to cut it. I'm going to leave a couple of millimeters exposed. I don't know if you can see that. So for that to fall down neatly, I'm just going to put one little cut down the middle. It's almost like when you are wrapping a birthday present, so you can get the paper to fold neatly, you have to allow for it to lay flat. So again with the iron, the two little bits I cut off, I'm just going to iron them down on top of the film. And it's such a small overlap, you won't even see it. That's just enough to stop the wind getting underneath it. So I don't know if you can see that very well, but yeah, that's what that's like. It's quite handy actually if you've got good lighting. You can sometimes see if the film hasn't made contact. You can either see some wrinkles, or you can see almost, it looks like air bubbles underneath, but it's not, just where it hasn't quite made contact with the wood. I'm just going to repeat the process for this side now. Plenty of heat. I use scissors again for this end. So again, just got a little bit overhanging there, just so I can tuck it around the corner. I'm just going to give it a little slice down the middle. Okay, so that's the bottom done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the process exactly the same, but I'm now going to cover the top, but I'm not actually going to shrink this yet until I've got the other side covered. And the reason for that, if I shrink this, it's going to warp it. It's going to make the wood want to kind of bend down. So it's good to have like both sides completely sort of covered before you actually start shrinking. So I'm going to do that now. I said I wasn't going to do any edits, so what I'm probably going to do is do a fast forward bit of me doing it. And I'll just repeat the process for this side and we're nearly there. Okay. Okay, here we are. So I've got both sides covered now, but you can see probably in the reflections that it's not very torn. So just before I put heat on it and shrink it, I'm just going to double check that I've got all the edges adhered. So I'm just running it along the ribs. Okay, now for the fun bit. We're gonna, with the iron, we're gonna slowly move it across and we're gonna keep looking at the reflections and see whether we've got it torn. The secret isn't to try and shrink it all in one go. Just take your time. Just keep shrinking it slowly, bit by bit, until you're happy. There you go, the finished aileron. I don't know if you can see in the reflection how tight that's gone. I've got a very slight wrinkle there. So again, just with the iron, carefully just introduce some heat to it. and the wrinkle's gone. So yeah, that's basically how you cover. So this has got all kind of sharp edges on it. There's no curved bits or anything like that, but if you're trying to cover a curved item, like say your wingtips are rounded, what you do is tack it on roughly round the edge, but you can also pull this little bit of tension just to try and help, but you'd be surprised how much this actually shrinks with enough heat. So it's really good for doing like radius bends. It's a shame I haven't got anything to demonstrate that, but it's sort of thing where if you're doing this for the first time, just practice with some scrap bits of wood, or if you do make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. You literally just heat it up and peel it off if it's tight, or sometimes you can just get away with peeling it off, but if it looks like it's going to damage the wood at all, just give it a little bit of heat just to soften the glue and it should come off quite easy. So the last thing I was going to talk about then was this iron-on adhesive. So there's two things you could use this for. Some of the covering film sheet that you get, especially the really lightweight stuff, it doesn't come with glue on the back of the film, and the reason for that is to keep the fabric as light as possible. So you only want glue where the fabric's going to be touching the wood. So what you would do, you'd have this adhesive, and literally with a paintbrush, you just paint it all over your wood, on your ribs, all around the edges, and it dries very, very quick. And then what you do, you put your covering on, and then you'd run the iron around like you would, and it will just stick to where the glue is. So that's one reason for that. Or what I also like doing with this, if I've got some edges or tight edges or things where I'm shrinking it and know there's a chance that the glue might not be strong enough to hold it, I can actually use this to increase the amount of glue in that area. So I could put it on the wood beforehand, before putting the film on, or where I know I'm going to have two bits of film overlapping and joining, I could very carefully just put a bit of the adhesive along where I know the joint's going to be. So, alright, I hope you guys might have learnt something from that. There you go, that's how to use iron-on film. Thanks for watching and adios.